So places like Zanzibar, they've been on this long journey towards malaria control and ultimately the goal of malaria elimination. But places like Zanzibar, this effort has kind of stalled slightly. The malaria landscape is changing. Ultimately, it's a complex disease. So what we have is we have mosquitoes that are now, the transmission is kind of happening outside of the home, whereas traditionally it always used to be inside the home when we're sleeping at night. So what we do is we try and take the battle to the mosquitoes themselves. So we think that a mosquito feeds on us in a traditional sense when we're vulnerable. So when we're sleeping at night, we're not there to kind of see a mosquito, squat it and rush it away. So then we kind of flip that on its head and we think, well, when's the mosquito vulnerable? So mosquito, it spends the first part of its life as an aquatic beast, okay, as a mosquito larvae. What that adult mosquito needs, rather, is it needs a water body to lay those eggs hatch into larvae, and then for between maybe 1 or 2 weeks, this larvae will develop. They're vulnerable at that stage because they're in those water bodies. So there's a long-standing technique of this called larval source management. So the water body, there's a swamp or the edge of a river or a puddle or something like that. This would be the larval source. So what we want to do is manage that. So we want to go to those water bodies, these habitats, and we want to be able to kill the larvae or perhaps even drain the water body. It could be that even your habitat is something like a bucket of water. So quite simply, you would just tip the bucket up. So that's environmental management. But rather, the other way we might think about it is we go to those water bodies and we can treat the water with a low toxicity larvicide. Okay, so what that'll do is it will kill the mosquito larvae, doesn't affect any other plant or animal life. And then what you're doing is you're stopping that larvae emerging as an adult mosquito that's looking for a blood meal that then may transmit malaria. So that's called larval source management. And that's not new. That's been going on for like 100 years. But it kind of fell out of favour because larval source management logistically is quite a difficult thing to do. Largely because it's a mapping problem. Where are all these individual habitats? Okay, and they can be really quite varied. They can be underneath trees, they can be near people's homes, they can be vast things, they can be things like rice paddies that are complex. What we're trying to do is effectively revolutionise the way that this larval source management is implemented. A key factor is effectively it's saving money, okay, and also improving the way that we do our mapping. So the work we've pioneered in Zanzibar is using drones. So together with our local partners, the Zanzibar Malaria Elimination Programme, as well as other partners in the UK and Africa, is we've developed technology to be able to fly the drones, image the ground, and then from those images, we're able to extract where those water bodies are. So that's something we've, as a proof of concept, we've proven already. So we're adding benefits, we're improving the mapping process. But now we're in this brave new age. We have artificial intelligence. We also have our standard drones are very good, but also they miss a lot of habitats because especially habitats that have emergent vegetation like grasses, like rice paddies. And also we have water that it doesn't look like water from above because it's very muddy. So it just looks like the surrounding soil. So what we got also now is we have different modalities of drone. We can use thermal imaging, we can use near-infrared imagery. What this should be able to do, and this is our big hypothesis, is make a big step improvement in the way we'll be able to map these habitats. Because what you get is these special signals from the water. For instance, if you've got a place like Zanzibar, very warm, so the land is generally very hot, but those water bodies, potentially, are they giving a cooler signal than the land around it? So if we've got thermal imagery, then potentially we can map those habitats, regardless of whether they've got vegetation or not. But secondly, the near-infrared, what that gives us is if you've got the water bodies, they absorb the near-infrared. So your water body looks completely black. They're distinguishable, okay? So we get these signals. And then you pile on top of that, so we've got extra special imagery, you pile on top of that the advanced sophisticated artificial intelligence, so our ability to be able to navigate those images and be able to identify these features of interest, so whether they're streams or they're inundated rice paddies or whether they're the edge of swamps and things like that. So then automatically lift out that information. So this is what we're doing in this key step with this next stage of funding. And we'll have economists as well as social scientists that will be able to embed themselves within the organisation that we're working with. So crucially, it's not somebody like myself as a trained pilot from here in the UK being able to fly the drones. It's my colleagues flying the drones. We're not if your thermal imaging drone that costs $20,000 that cost outweighs the benefits that it has, then we won't use the thermal imaging drone. So we want to think about the economic angle as well as importantly with drones, you can have some really sophisticated technology, but if you need a postgraduate degree in computer science or engineering to be able to take that drone off the ground and collect imagery, then it's not for us. What we want is out-the-box solutions that our colleagues in Zanzibar can work. And ultimately, it's by marrying up that innovation together with the practical logistics that's actually going to build that real impact. And as I say, work towards that end goal, which is reducing malaria. Now, the real end goal, as well as having something that works and that's sustainable in Zanzibar, is that just gives this nice packaged up model that then you take to other areas from mainland Tanzania beyond sub-Saharan Africa to really make this real impact across these different malaria control programs. Because malaria elimination, it sounds like this dream, but it really is possible, but it's not going to be possible without this thinking out the box and this appropriate use of technology like we're doing here at Aberystwyth University.